Hello, everybody. Tonight we have some kind of lecture presentation, some thoughts of our colleague Tomislav Brajnovic. And the best is that we just give him a word and he can tell you more about tonight's theme and talk about it.
So my colleague Inge said that she doesn't know the theme, the topic of my let's say talk, but that's the question. I would like to explain, let's say, my arrival in this situation, or actually to come back to our topic, emergency exit. So I always kind of try to make some emphasis on the topic, because we are all talking about media, VR, scenography, video, audio, but I always try to make more accent, give more accent on the topic, on the reason why we are using all these medias, or what we're gonna tell with those media to the public. The question of the public is another story, and that's the problem we also opened a few weeks ago about social media. Why social media? What is the meaning of these online courses, or what's the change in the realm of art? Having this social media, having this digital cloud. So I'm gonna share the screen and just show you two examples of the work I was doing when I was younger. So I finished my MA in London. I'm going to share just to show you how my, let's say, practice evolved and why. So I'm going to try to do it because it's quite complex even to me. So let's say this work was my MA work in London, at St. Martin's College of Art, when I was doing my MA in 2002, 2003. So I was collecting throughout the whole year objects from, I hope you see the image.
Yes.
So, yes, okay, thank you. So I was collecting objects from car boot sales, from antique shops, from the streets, related to my notion of Englishness, of kind of Britishness. So the idea was to put all these experiences in one greenhouse as a container of memories, of time, of kind of with the idea that the imperium, that the royalness, that the royal family is kind of, that the British Empire is gone, is kind of fading away. And this was my, let's say, contribution to this idea. I tried to make actually a critical work, a critique of the British Empire by experiencing all this aesthetics, but also ethics. So this greenhouse was full of objects, but also filled with several works. One of those works was this walk through London in a morning suit. It was a performance where I rented a morning suit as a gentleman, and I made a stroll or a walk through the center of London, Piccadilly Street, Cork Street, Trafalgar Square. So I made all these kind of very known places, because when coming to London, I expected to see, as a stereotype, to see gentlemen on the streets of London, but there was none, because it was a completely different situation from my imagination. And then I realized I had to experience it myself. And another work that I did also, and that is also in this greenhouse, is visible here. It's a teapot that is disappearing in the London fog. So I actually made a standard 8 film in which I try to represent this fading of a teapot in a London fog. And I managed to make this London fog by mixing smoke from a coal and evaporating of water from Thames, from the river that's going through London. So because smoke is a combination of smoke from soft coal and Thames water. So this is, let's say, one of the works I made when I was younger. And then another, just I will jump 15 years and try to find another series of work, just to show that I was into sorry, no, it's not crawling, it's with an A. So I was into installation, into objects, into material, let's say, representation. There was always a topic behind those works. So I never actually went from the media to the work, but to the content, but from the content to the media. So I was choosing the media that fits my content, because that was the only way actually I could work, because it's a problem when you have a problem with let's say with an empty canvas as a painter. Then you think what I'm gonna paint. So you start with nothing, and then you have to imagine something. That's I think that's an old way to approach art. I think that today we are living in times where the content defines an appropriate medium. So you go into a medium if you have a reason to do it. So here are some objects, some silk screens on reproductions, some video work. So many different, let's say I used many different media because, you know, they were appropriate for the idea I was willing or wanting to represent. So this is 2016. So still some works from England, from Cardiff. This is a lead greenhouse, because after this greenhouse I made in 2002, I made another one covered with lead, because I wanted to say that this British Empire or England or Great Britain is closing, is kind of more, and that's, let's say, kind of anticipation of Brexit, where you have a country that defends herself by closing borders, by closing it's turning to itself. So this is let's say one topic. Then I will jump to this Facebook phenomenon that I started to use quite long ago. I don't know when, but in 2013 I already wrote a text where I'm defining and explaining why I think that that Facebook is an artistic media, and not only an artistic media, but a relevant artistic media, more relevant than let's say the conventional space where art was happening until then. Because I somewhere defined that Facebook is dealing with time, and let's say this conventional art world is dealing with space. Because why I said so, because when you're an artist doing objects, as I showed before, you're collecting objects for, let's say, some period of time, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then you're waiting for an exhibition, and you make an exhibition, let's say, sometimes 5 or 6 years after you did some work. So you're actually late with the presentation of your art, and in that moment, maybe works are not relevant anymore because you are dealing with some topic that is gone. But with Facebook, there is another phenomenon. So you're actually reacting real time. You're relevant because you are actually in the flow of time, flow of events. And if you are, let's say, an artist who is aware of that possibility to be present in the time things are happening, then I think it's a kind of how I would say prednost, advantage. It's an advantage to use social media, because you are like a news. You're like a TV news. You can act every day in each moment. It is also, I must say, and there is more risk in such a practice, because there is no time for your design of yourself. So there is no time to correct your thoughts. There is no time to correct the form, or there is not much time, because if you're reacting, you know, really in time and immediately, then there is no much time for self-reflection in the sense that you make kind of censorship, but you get out with your reaction, and that means that you present yourself as a person more than as an artist. So that's my conclusion after all these years of practice on Facebook, that in the end you are building up confidence, let's say, among your friends that start to be that actually believe or don't believe you. So it's not, you're not making an illusion, an aesthetic illusion, but you're kind of showing your worldviews, your positions, and then the perception is not more aesthetical, it's more kind of do I agree or do I not agree with the things I'm actually saying. So this text was written in 2013. I can read a few sentences. So let's say Facebook as an environment is a reflection of the current situation on a general level. Democratization of the image, free thought and comment, passive or active reaction. So we know, everybody knows that there is a democratization of the image. Everybody has iPhones and or phones or what other kind of personal media where you can make photos, videos. So it's not, you are not anymore, how we would say, ограничен by the media. You're not, как скажи, ограничен?
Limited?
Yes, you're not limited by kind of skill, knowing how to use, let's say, photography as a kind of complex and very actually difficult media if you're doing kind of a traditional photography. Like as a sign of agreement or acceptance of an idea and a possible comment became the main mechanism of feedback that the artist receives. Mechanism that encourage someone to click or not to click on likes. Mechanism that encourage someone to click or not to click on likes are also interesting. This is a Google Translate, so I didn't check it yet, but there are some mistakes. How many times does a person like an article photo but does not click like because he has some problems with their author? So because when you come on somebody else's exhibition, let's say in the real space, everybody says, oh, nice, nice, congratulations, but maybe they don't think it, you know, because they have to say it because it's kind of courtoisie to say it. But when you are in your private place at home, you can give or not give like, nobody's going to ask you why you didn't give me like. So you're more free, and it's more difficult to get, I think, a like than a congratulation in a public space where everybody says it because it's kind of common or we are used to say it. Okay, I say also that like is also potentially dangerous for the artist because it creates dependence, anticipation, and encourages possible self-censorship, adapting and succumbing to criticism. So you're actually, the danger is to be to have this self-censorship. So you're making posts for which you know you're going to get likes. So it can be also a problem for the artist to kind of form a bad reaction to it. Okay, I'm going, this is an old text, but still relevant. The situation in which the artistic work appears in a non-artistic environment is interesting. My impression is that it is perceived on the same level as ordinary attachments. It is liked on a different level, speed. The like may cease to be a measure of value, especially if it's about long Facebook forms, such as text, for example. Essentially, it is a good situation, the equalization of art and life, where art is recognized only at the level of cognition. And this is a very important topic because I'm going to jump now to a post I made in 2000. We'll see when. I have the translation in English, but just to see, let's say, one of my strategies on Facebook is to post a photo and have a small text. And this is connected to this position on Facebook, how I see it. I'm going to read it in English. So it's short statement. So Duchamp's fountain or pissoir returned to the toilet. And here there is a small disclaimer. Most likely the author of the fountain is the artist Elsa von Freytag Loringhoven. So many people say that actually Duchamp was not the author of the fountain, but he took it from this artist woman. But since she was a woman, he kind of took it over. Okay, that's another story, but that's a fact. So here is the manifest, or this statement. I announced that Duchamp's urinal or fountain as a paradigm of contemporary art has been returned to a context in which the artistic context is absent, in which it is not a shift that reckons with the artistic environment, in which it is only a function within a non-artistic life, in which its artistic potential is invisible and unexpected. Because we have to understand, you all know, because Duchamp's fountain is a paradigm of contemporary art. Now I could ask you why, but I'm sure you know it, because he introduced ready-made in an official artistic space, and then this ready-made became art. And that's something that contemporary art does almost or more than 100 years. You put an
Okay, you can continue. Sorry.
I'm just going to continue because this, I think, is for me very important.
Maybe you can repeat. It's just somebody is doing something in house and disturbing the link.
Oh, I was talking about Duchamp and the contemporary, the meaning of Duchamp in contemporary practice. So he introduced the ready-made in the museum, and he said that everything actually you put in the museum can be art. And now I think that the opposite thing happened. I'm going to read it thoroughly. The final point of return are digital. So this process of return extends throughout the whole century by going out into the street or entering apartments and other alternative space. So I claim that this process is reversed now, that this object is not anymore in the museum. The place of recognition of art is not more the museum of the artistic context, but it's somewhere else, because this return happened throughout the century by making exhibitions. People were making exhibitions in the apartments, in other alternative spaces, on streets. So artists were kind of escaping the museum. They didn't want to use this traditional space where you show art on the walls or on some postaments. So they wanted to break this kind of traditional practice. The final point of return, this is kind of important. The final point of return are digital social networks with Facebook as their paradigm. Facebook is not a place like a museum, salon, or gallery, which would raise the entered object, process, or performance to the level of art with its context. On the contrary, it is a context that abolishes the artistic, a context where it's not expected, at least not in the fullness of its representation. It's like a toilet in which, while urinating, we look at an advertisement on the wall, fishes in a blue sea, or blondes smiling at an unpleasant situation. We all know that very often people, when you are trying to speak about some serious content, they say, Facebook is not the place to talk about serious content, or Facebook is not a place for art. And then the last sentence, and precisely this non-artistic place is a place of recognition. The situation is reversed. It is not longer about accepting an object as art within an artistic context, but recognizing the artistic stripped down spirit within a non-artistic context. With their vulgarness, social platforms abolished the authority and institution of the artistic context and returned the recognition of artistic displacement and value to Duchamp. So I think that the opposite happened, and many of the students, let's say, very often said how to recognize, let's say, from all these images that are overproduced every day, billions of images on Facebook or some Instagram or LinkedIn or some other social, TikTok, some other social media. Is it possible to recognize, or is there anything that has an artistic value. How to recognize art in a non-artistic environment. So I don't know if you realize how this important is, but I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons we actually made this course and made this project Emergency Exit, because we realized that especially in the situation of COVID, but not only COVID, we are all plugged in, we are all connected with this digital cloud in different ways every day. So what happened? You know, how to, and that's why, let's say, Nina was interesting when she said, what's going to happen with art? Are there going to be any artistic movement in this place? Is this a danger for art? You know, what's going to happen actually with all of this? So that's one of the emergencies we were talking about. And then entering this digital space, we encountered the problem of authority, the problem of information, disinformation, how to find this content. So that's something I was writing here about, you know, how to recognize, let's say, the truth in the middle of trash, because we are all in a stream of disinformation. How to find an information how to put or how to place, let's say, your idea in this stream of disinformation, how to hack, let's say, the system, how to make a subversive, because art nowadays is somehow subversive. You are making a subversive comment in an everyday life. You're pointing to some topic, you're making a visualization of an idea. So how to use this possibility of social media as a huge space. And that's why we were talking about space last few times. You know, what's the space? What is the public space? Is the Facebook a public space or not? Where art has its relevance here or on the street? We were showing this work from Nemanja from Belgrade, where he's talking about revolution and borba and class struggle. So is it possible to make an evolution on the streets? Where is the enemy? So all these questions are very, very important, and that's why I placed this text. I'm going to show you 10 more minutes. I'm going to show you, let's say, just screenshots of. They're not ordered they're not in order, but I'm going to just scroll down and show you, let's say, what was my strategy. So this was one post about Marina Brajnovic and the life, her work with a text of mine. So it took a form of placing an image that I think it's relevant. It refers to a certain event, and then to have a comment. Sorry, I'm gonna just scroll down all this. So this is another story from a private life, vineyard, a moment, kind of Renaissance perspective, and a kind of very strange situation with a friend of mine. There is always a text. Here is also vineyard. Let's say kind of photo performance as an introduction to a long text about Zizek and Peterson, the clash they had a few years ago on internet, kind of discussion of the century. So there were many reactions after that. So I also reacted. Set up installation with the text, "The Heaven Restores Order." It was written this year because Zizek said that there is a heaven in disorder, and actually he even made a book with this title. So I also reacted. So those are all reactions in time, very fast, in the same way those philosophers or thinkers react nowadays. Also kind of history of how I get to Zizek. It's kind of very funny because I couldn't get his email address. but actually I'm kind of criticizing him because he's referring to certain dogma. Just short, I'm not going to enter into stories. So this was, let's say, one of the subversive posts where I actually appropriated. It was stolen actually, but when an artist took somebody else's image, then you call it appropriation, because you took it and you upgrade it. So normally this was the call for this talk. It was 2019. Jordan Peterson and Slavoj Žižek were talking about happiness. So Peterson was defending capitalism and Žižek was defending Marxism. And I said, there is something missing. So I introduced myself. I used the same font, the same imagery, the same design of the original. And then I introduced myself also with a kind of ego posture where I'm also with hands. I'm kind of very a big thinker. And I was pretending I'm kind of on the same level as they are, but I cannot reach social interests on the level they can. And I introduced this paradise as a third possibility. Okay, a few more. This is just to show you, what are the possibilities of social media, in which way you can also do discourse. So it doesn't need to be a huge and long and very complicated project. It can be something, a post, it can be a statement, it can be a text you introduced in this stream of information. Again, text with some images, reaction about, I call it historical neuspjeh, failure of art. So I'm kind of stating that historically looking, art has failed. We didn't solve the problem we are now living in. So this emergency exit was not achieved by art. We are still searching for this exit, but I think that till now we didn't do it. Okay, this was the Duchamp. Here again, for me, important statement where I refer to Vlado Martek. I suggest you look on internet who is Vlado Martek. So he was member of the group of six, and this work says attention content. So he was trying to I would say accentuate or to give importance to the content, and then he was kind of saying, look at the content, but with a form, with a very cheap looking form, written with some, I think it's some color on paper, and then he put this bubble wrap on the top of it. So it's very kind of very cheap looking form. You wouldn't tell that this is, let's say, nobody would call this a painting. And especially, let's say academic painters, they would say this is not a painting. How, this could be done by everybody. So they don't see any artistic value in this. That's why he used it to pinpoint or to naglasiti. I'm missing words. So to give accentuate, let's say, the content. But what I'm saying in this text is, how can I go further? So what an artist can do beyond that, because if he said attention content, I cannot say it anymore because it's done. So the only possibility I can do, the direction where I can go, is the content itself. So I don't need a form, I don't need a painting, I don't need bubble wrap in order to say something, because I can say directly. So this is one of my, let's say, also statements, that the artist nowadays doesn't need the illusion of the media. He doesn't need to hide behind the media in order to say something. So, because I'm sure everybody knows exhibitions where the artist is asked to explain, what did you mean with your exhibition? And then the artist starts to talk about his works, because the works are hermetical. They don't speak on themselves. So the artist or some critic of art has to explain what the artist wanted to say. So I think that this paradigm where the artist talks about his works is over, and now we are in the time of answers, because until now, if you know this Roland Barthes essay where he's talking about the death of the author. He says that the artist is no author anymore. The work is finished by the public or by the critic, because you are kind of making questions and the public is answering in themselves, because we all carry some pre-knowledge while looking at some work of art, and then the understanding we have about this work of art is our personal understanding. It's something that cannot be much influenced by the artist himself, because the artist himself, he's just putting some clues, he's making a rebus, and you are giving the answer. The answer can be wrong, can be right. Sometimes the artist is misunderstood, and then my conclusion is that this time of misunderstanding is over, because we are living in emergency times where we need answers. Because if we don't give answers, the answer will be given by artificial intelligence, by digital dictatorship, by the system. So you see how far, let's say, I came in this conclusion, and that's somehow it is a challenge, but it's also kind of a burden, because if you come to a situation where you are deprived of aesthetics, the question is, what to use, which format to use, which form, which medium, and you have a content that you would like to put forward. So those are questions that I'm dealing with you. I'm kind of exposing my position because I think it's a big problem. Yes, this is again a reference to Tito, looking at this sculpture and saying how much time has to pass that you become just culture and art, because we have a history of art full of monuments where you don't even know who is on the monument. It could be, let's say, maybe sometimes is a Roman emperor who made a genocide towards some nation somewhere, Palestine or Balkans or somewhere, but we look at this monument as a piece of art and we say, oh, how beautiful this piece of art it is, or how beautiful monument it is, but we forgot the crime this guy committed. So this was a try to make a kind of funny comment on Tito. So how much time has to pass that we don't see you as Tito, but we see you as a sculpture, as a monument, as art. Again, it's always related to this question, relation, content, and form. Let's say I have a series of work in Pula, where I'm also questioning the amphitheater, the arena, and all these Roman remains that we are praising as top art and top values, but actually they were monuments of crime, because people were executed in those spaces. A few more examples, and then another thing. Sorry, where it was here, and then a few more fast. Again, shooting a video where I'm reading a text, trying to look like a TV speaker, a kind of official look where I'm declaring something, manifesto. Again, something, a graph, a text about the Winter Castle, where I'm explaining that there is no more Winter Castle, which we should overturn or conquer with the revolution, because the Winter Castle now is in digital cloud. It's kind of everywhere and nowhere. We don't know who is behind the algorithm. We know something, but we don't know completely who is actually deep mining our thoughts, our contents, our images. So this is again an installation with a bottle. Okay, so these are examples how there are many more examples. There are many more possibilities, GIFs, memes, different posts. You can do whatever you want, but I showed a few of my examples. And just another, Inge, if we have 10 more minutes, or do you think?
Oh.
Okay, just another example of such an appropriation is the video. I will show you just 30 seconds of this video I made, then I'm going to explain what it is. It was done in 2018, if I remember well. Sorry, no, nothing. It's in Vimeo. So it's again Zizek. Inge knows that I was busy with Zizek in a moment of my art practice. Just listen careful to this 1 minute of video before I explain it.
I think we are entering a very dangerous multi-centered world. All these dreams that America will somehow regain control are, for me, over.
Very dangerous. No, I
Yeah,
agree.
it is a dangerous world, I agree.
The
Point
natural
two,
state of
mankind
mankind is war.
Mankind is in an unnatural state of rebellion against a higher order, with war as its consequence. We are entering the final phase of human rebellion and failure, including Europe. Peace cannot be maintained by war.
Fun of Europe. It was a great thing as far as it lasted.
Oh, it was a disastrous period. Europe is a cultural theme park. It's insignificant.
Okay, so I'm not gonna. I can show you. I can send you a link to this video. It's for 4 minutes or something. But I wanted to just explain what it is. So it was a video that I found on RT television. So it's a Russian television from 2011, I think. And I was very interested or surprised or fascinated with the content because they were talking about religion, war as a natural condition of mankind, communism, United States as a world power. So main topics that are actually now even more relevant. And the funny thing is that you have here Julian Assange and Zizek, who are somewhere in London. He was, I don't know anymore, it was Ecuador or some embassy in London. He was there a fugitive. And then you have David Horowitz, who is in the States as a rightist philosopher, somebody who supported Trump. So it's a kind of right position, left position, and a journalist, let's say a liberal, Julian Assange. So we're discussing these topics. And again, I saw it as a possibility to make a subversive immersion. It's not VR, but it's kind of editing. I edited myself in the video by very carefully listening the content, and I very carefully wrote my interventions into the discussion, and I also very carefully try to find positions where I can insert myself that it looks like it's real. So I made a media manipulation to place, let's say, a fake news, but my opinion is that fake news is the only way for me to tell the truth. So that's the funny thing. So you have to use this media manipulation, a fake news, in order to place something you believe is true. And then I just wanted to show this moment where I'm mentioning Europe.
Thing as far as
failure, including Europe. Peace cannot be maintained by war.
Fun of Europe. It was a great thing.
So by editing, I inserted part of Zizek's audio, who covers my text. So it seems like he kind of interrupted my Inge knows that much better. So it's done in the sense that the video, it's incorporated. I try to make it authentic, as if I was really in conversation. So Zizek is actually answering to my mentioning of Europe. Of course, I mentioned Europe because he was mentioning Europe in the original video. So I adapted my answers, my text to the conversation, and I inserted fractions of video in order to, let's say, here somewhere Assange, just a moment. So I inserted
of human rebellion and failure, including Europe.
Assange, who listens to my expose. Actually, he was not listening to my expose, but I made it as if he was listening to it. So this is one of the possibilities. Of course, you can't do 10 videos like this. I did one because I covered this strategy, because otherwise it would become repetition of myself. I would copy myself. That's something that let's say, happens, let's say in traditional art, a painter makes 100 paintings on the same topic. In contemporary, let's say, approach, in this type of media, you can't make two of similar works. And just one more thing to show you just the reaction. It's here somewhere, then I'm going to stop. You can ask if you want, just to show you. Yes, so this video actually went viral. Now you can't see here, but there was about 10,000 until I could follow. Maybe later it was more because Facebook in one moment stopped showing how much views had some video, and there were about 100 shares. So this post was shared by 100 different people at different organizations. But the funny thing is that many Slovenian leftist organizations shared the video because they thought it was a leftist content, because there was Rijeka there. But what happened now with this Russian, with the war, Ukraine and Russia, Facebook actually placed this comment. This link is from a publisher that Facebook believes may be partially or wholly under the editorial control of the Russian government. So because I mentioned somewhere in this post that this was taken from RT television, and then they placed this how we call it, kind of disclaimer or upozorenje. I don't know how to say it in English. So it is kind of controversial content. And the funny thing is that I can't find anymore this original video, because it was again removed by YouTube. So all these contents were removed because they are part of Russian TV. So this is another example how an artist can actually, sorry, just to see where is the original. One moment, I have the links here. Yeah, voila. Just to see, let's say, how it looked, the original post. So actually, I think that this work is originally made for Facebook on 25th of May 2018. Although I later on show it on many shows, I got even some, I think, awards for it. So it was showed in a more conventional way, but it was not faking, but it was it had no such a power as it had in this moment where I posted. So the original work actually is on Facebook. So as you see here, 184 likes and comments, 97 comments, 97 shares. So it was really viral because it was about Zizek, Assange, and all those known people. So it was not because of me being in, but I misused their popularity in order to place my subversive artistic content. So those are examples to give you an impression, you know, how you can use such a huge media as Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. And a last sentence is to encourage you. I wouldn't say it's kind of assignment, but it could be, if we agree, as an assignment to make one intervention wherever you want on social media, but that has this artistic intention. So there is something you misplaced, something subversive, something, I don't know. So Facebook or social media do not use as a presentation of your work, but as a place for which your work is made. That's a big difference. To present your work on social media or to make a work for social media. It's completely different approach. So I encourage you to think about social media as a place for which you make and produce work. And that's a quite interesting assignment, not to present your work, but to make a work for it. So that's it. If you have any questions, I hope you don't. No, I hope you have. You can. Yes, I will send a link to this video. I will send a link to this Facebook I hope you have access to Facebook. Otherwise, I'm going to send it later on through email. So this is something I suggest you think about. So you can use video, you can use performative photo, you can do whatever you want, but use the social media as a possibility. Any questions, please, I'm gonna stop sharing. I hope it was not too confused. I was not confused too much, but because there are many things I would like to explain, there is not so much time. So please, questions, somebody, Clara, Marco, Dorotea, Anna, Neko, somebody. Yeah, Inge, you are muted.
Yes,
Unmute.
okay, I see, sorry. So Diana just joined us and thank you very much for your very interesting lecture. This is interesting that I heard some of your ideas, but always come something new. And I'm sure there will be more interest to hear from the others. But before others put a question, I would ask you, do you really get reaction to all your texts? Sometimes you're writing quite a long text, and do you get reactions? Is this communication for you, or is it more sending to the public so that your ideas spread whoever come? What is your experiences? What is your frustration or not?
My experience is that the better the text is, the more radical, less likes. So I see a kind of opposite. Less likes, I'm on a good path. So there is something going on. And then I realized, I first thought maybe people are not reading it, there is no reaction, but then later on, I heard that actually people are reading it, but or they don't agree, or they don't want to get involved or something. But my actual intention is to, since I think that there is a spiritual war going on in this space of digital space, I would call it spiritual space, kind of invisible. So my intention is to say things, to make a statement. It doesn't matter if this statement is read, accepted, not accepted, but it's out there. I'm kind of, okay, it's a longer story, but I'm kind of witnessing to this space who is reading it. Algorithms are reading it, governments are reading it, so it's there, it's said, you know. And I think that's also the best way to protect your artistic work, is to make it public. So if you want to copy it, please do it, you know, it's there, it's kind of recorded. So Facebook or social media became the most accurate book of art history. I don't know if you use, let's say, search on Facebook, but you can find every reaction, every post, every comment, everything you did in let's say, last 10, 20 years. And that's something that's threatening, because now we have this metaverse who is going beyond that. They're going to remember all our reactions, the way we looked, the way our voice. So in the future, it will be a kind of a huge digital memory of everything, you know. So you can use it for good. So you can see, let's say, your dead parents or somebody who is still there as alive, you know, keeping it alive as an avatar. But from the other side, there is no place to hide, you know, everything is exposed. You're kind of read. There is no place to escape. That's why, again, I must point to emergency exit. You know, is there any way to exit this clinch, how we would call it, this deadly grip we are kind of entering, because the system has to defend himself, you know, because the subjectivity we have is a threat, because everybody thinks differently from the main or from the official truth. So you become a threat to peace and to to security, and that's why the system shapes the information. It always did. It happened always, but now it has more meaning. So my texts, not many people agree with them, or nobody actually agrees 100%, but they think it's kind of interesting artistic position, or they find some truths, but mostly people are not. I don't have followers. That's good. I don't have followers because somebody said, where are your followers? You should have followers because you're giving some advices. No, I said, no, I don't have followers because nobody wants to hear the truth. It's too difficult to change yourself, to make. I'm not giving candies. I'm not giving anything valuable to people. That's why I don't have followers. I don't give let's say spiritual advices, you know. So that's very, very interesting for my experience. It's also a very big stress. That's why, let's say, I don't write for a year now, but I'm preparing a big text, a long text for Inge, because she likes very much my long texts, and some other people. And then, you know, that's it. You know, that's kind of a struggle. That's the problem I was talking about before. Because as an artist, when you stop using conventional media, you enter into content, and then you come to a point where there is no more place where you can go, you know, because you wrote it, you said it, and now there is something going on in the world out of the reach, out of the grip, and that's why we have this emergency exit, this question, you know, how to get out of this situation that looks like there is no exit. So this is my question. It should be a kind of it's not depressive, it should be kind of potice.
Challenging.
It should be challenging.
Kind of challenging.
Yes, for young students, for young artists, to tell me, no, you are wrong. There is still possibility for art. There is still possibility for some, I don't know, virtual reality or 3D modeling, or there is something. Something is possible. So that's the challenge. That's something you should do, because we are older, we did something, and then we came to some conclusions, but you're entering this art world, and then you are invited to make me wrong, to find a solution.
Let's try to see if somebody would like to say a word about your ideas, or their own ideas. Dorotea, Clara, Anna, Marco. What do you think?
There, but maybe they're there.
I have just a short remark before all of them.
Yeah.
Because it was one project, but it isn't visible yet. It isn't visible anymore. From students from VHV Academy this year, they have a quest to post on Instagram story, which is very short. You have Instagram stories during only one day, 24 hours, to present themselves, and in a short way, maybe on text or on pictures or on inspirations, to like have this Instagram story use and one day in a purpose of artistic practice. So I think that is also interesting opportunity to students maybe think in that way.
Yes. So maybe you can say it's an assignment actually to do it.
Yes.
Maybe not time, but even for next time. It can be one sentence, it can be a meme, it can be whatever form, but just to make something that kind of shifts the normal expectations we have on social media. Dorotea, I saw she was removing her muted speaker, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything smart to say. I just wanted to say that I'm here and I was looking at your posts, and it's very interesting that, I don't know, to me it's brave to share your opinions like that and like make such statements, and I don't know, it's inspiring.
Thank you, but you're right. You need a certain courage because after a while the stress accumulates, because not all reactions are good always. You have some attacks. Very often you have attacks. You have comments that need to be answered. Then you. But it's also a challenge, because you then you do things you never think you could do, because you write texts that derive from reactions that you didn't expect. So you have a kind of evolution of your idea. So I don't know if you're aware of that as an artist. It's very good to have this. That's why you also exhibit works. You put them on show, and then people react. And then in this reaction, some new ideas and works can happen, because there is no other way to make this. That's how science also functions. They make experiments, and some mistakes and some unexpected events happen that they don't see as mistakes. They see them as solutions. So a mistake or something happens, and you see it as solution. And that's why I think it's very good to be brave and to put not to be. That's why we also encourage you to say your opinion, because we are not here to judge you. We are here to encourage you. So even if you are maybe wrong, but it's not being wrong and getting a bad mark. It's being wrong and learning and changing yourself and finding another solution. So that's, I think, crucial for an artist to expose himself and to make an exhibition of himself. Dorothea made a subversive intervention on something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I also
nice.
think that art is an interaction between public and yourself.
Yes.
Can you show all of you a little bit? It's so hard to talk when we don't see you. Is it possible that we see you? Marco, Anna, yeah, much nicer. Dorothea. Anna, are you here? Dorothea? They disappeared.
Zapravo smo samo mi, ne?
Yeah, I'm on my computer, so I don't have a camera right
Oh,
here.
okay, no problem. If you cannot, okay. Yes, okay. It's maybe we can close this day today, because I think Tomislav really gave us a lot of questions, a lot of ideas, and everybody has to see for self what it means, social media, what it means saying something in public. I can only compare with something else. When you go to a symposium in life, and there is a speaker, and then there is the same way of possibility to discuss. It's usually very few people who are discussing, because people are not used to be heard in public. And what Tomislav pointed out is actually through Facebook, concretely what he is using. It's maybe easier because you are not confronted directly in this moment to one person, and you are saying something, you are showing something to unknown groups of people or friends or whoever. And so there is not this feeling of shame or something, but then you get afterwards reaction, if you are lucky to get some reaction. So it's a very, very different subject, and I think it's really necessary to look a little bit more about that. Yes, Tomislav.
This is a good point. Even let's say I have sometimes problem in the group of my friends to get the word, because other friends are louder. But Facebook, nobody can stop me. You can write it down, and nobody can stop you. You can talk. So you have the opportunity to talk to everybody, and nobody can actually stop you, except, let's say, censorship, if you are talking too much or putting something that's not appropriate. But normally you can say things openly if you have courage to say it.
But also something else, you are one of few people I know. I have a lot of friends whom everybody actually I know who are my friends. If I don't know somebody, I accept only because I see the profile and I see there is a person with whom I can understand and communicate if I need. But actually, from my point, I told you already once or maybe several times, Tomislav, for me, it's very difficult to read the longer texts. And I think this is media which is not only based on images, but also very short texts and very often more like a main title for a news. So actually most of people read, image and maybe read a little bit of that. So when you go to this long text, it's a question how many people really want to read that or just superficially go through. And I believe you have certain group of people who are reading your text. That's what I noticed by reactions at your Facebook.
That's why you have all this media. Let's say Facebook have this frame, when you can put just a few sentences. Instagram, or they all have this short memes. So because people are scrolling down, so it's a speed. Of course, it's a problem. Nobody reads books anymore. I don't read books. I have plenty of books here, but I don't read them all because you don't actually have time to read books. So we are living in a time of let's say short text or images, flashes. And but sometimes you write things for just to be written. Nobody maybe is going to read it, but it's there as a reference. But that's a problem.